Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. When Jesus was arrested, they all ran away, every single one of them. Jesus had spent most of 3 years with his disciples, and they knew when they came to Jerusalem that something like his arrest might happen. In fact, when Jesus had said he was going to Jerusalem, the headquarters of his enemies, it was Thomas who said, "Let us go also, that we may die with him." But when they came to arrest Jesus, they all ran away. In Mark's gospel, there is a story of a young follower of Jesus, and when a soldier grabbed his cloak, he left it behind and ran off naked. That's wanting to get away. We're surprised and disappointed by Peter, however. All through the Gospels, Peter seems to have a boldness and brashness beyond the others. He also seems to have a faith beyond many of the others too, being the first to say that Jesus was the Christ. So it might not surprise us that Peter made his way into the exterior courtyard of the high priest's house, where Jesus was standing trial before the Sanhedrin. At least he made it that far and cowered in the darkness. Only the cold drove him to draw near to the warmth of the fire, risking the light and possible recognition. Sure enough, someone thought they recognized him, and 3 times Peter denied even knowing Jesus. So much for courage, so much for faith. This week we are preparing to celebrate Pentecost, the third major festival of the church, and the birthday of the church. To do that, in these morning moments, we're looking at what I'm calling Pentecost Practices, how we live out Pentecost in our lives. Today's focus is on the practice of responding, and Peter is a prime example. Let me pick up the story just a day or so later after Peter was almost identified in that courtyard. After Jesus was dead, not one disciple claimed the body. They were afraid that if they did, they would suffer the same fate. And then, over that Sabbath, they cowered in an upper room, afraid to show their faces. They were all there, including Peter. Downhearted, dejected, leaderless, under threat, afraid. No one knew what to do. So they did nothing. Then, when Easter arrived and they encountered the risen Jesus, they rejoiced, but still they did nothing. In fact, by the time Jesus ascends to heaven, he tells them to go back to Jerusalem and wait some more. Don't just do something, he told them. Be there. Wait for what God has in store. Then the day of Pentecost arrived, and the Holy Spirit was poured out on them. Suddenly, it's all the difference in the world. This band of lily-livered, cowering followers are filled with new languages to tell the story, but more importantly, they are filled with boldness and courage. Suddenly, they aren't cowering and hiding in the upper room any longer. And Peter who ran, Peter who denied, Peter stands up in front of a crowd and begins to preach. He gave bold witness to the risen Jesus and added direct blame for those who killed him. And when it was all said and done, the Spirit worked through Peter and his words, and 3,000 people believed and were baptized. This is why we call Pentecost the birthday of the church. When the Spirit poured out on them, those disciples responded. The message was spread, community was formed, and God was worshiped and praised. Those are the things a church is for. The response is so strong that I have heard it said that this book of the Bible is misnamed. We tend to call it the Acts of the Apostles, as it tells what they did in the very early church. However, the better name might be the Acts of the Holy Spirit through the apostles. The real driving force is the Holy Spirit in them, not those followers themselves. Those followers of Jesus responded to the Holy Spirit in them, and Peter is a great example. They were filled with boldness instead of fear. That tends to happen when you know that God is with you. Last thing, the difference between a disciple and an apostle is that a disciple is one who follows and learns. An apostle is one who is sent. After Pentecost, Jesus' disciples become his apostles, sent with the message of God's love made known in Jesus. That's the same gift we are called to respond to. Thanks for sharing these moments with me, and remember to let this day belong to God.